Ladies and gentlemen, this song means the place of happiness, which is what we've all got to work towards, okay? Jabulani!
PJ Powers is a South African musician who has recorded numerous albums and is well known for, among others, her UK chart hit World in Union with Ladysmith Black Mambazo in 1995. But there is much more to this talented artist. She was a confidant of Nelson Mandela, an operative for the ANC, and also an alcoholic. She's just written her autobiography, which is a frank tell-it-all about a tough life on and off stage. But it's also a personal history of South Africa in the 80s through to the advent of democracy. She's also known as Thandeka, the loved one, a name that she was given by a crowd at the Jabulani Amphitheater in Soweto in 1987. And it's there that she returned to as she sat down for a special interview with eNCA. PJ Powers, a very warm welcome to you. We are sitting at the entrance to the Jabulani Amphitheater, and as I look around me, as I look behind me, it's abandoned, it's condemned, it's dirty, broken windows. Yet this was the scene of one of your biggest triumphs. Coming back in 2014, how does it make you feel?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I always feel when I come in here is this is where my ashes are going to be thrown, and this is where my career started. So I feel, you know, it was a great sacred moment for me on the 31st of May 1982. I feel very sad when I see what has happened to it, and I'm going to make it my mission that by next Heritage Day we're going to clean this place up and we're going to have a hell of a concert here.
You've got a real dream as far as this place is concerned.
I have an absolute dream as far as this process is concerned. I want to do it. It's something that Soweto is a town that deserves this is a great size amphitheater. You know, there are two great dressing rooms down there. It has everything. It needs a bit of refurbishment.
We've chosen, obviously, this venue for the interview very carefully. Take us back then to that visit in 1982. If I remember correctly, violent times, a bomb a couple of days before it just exploded in Netherlands, not too far from here. You almost didn't get in because police didn't want to let you in.
It was a scary and quite funny story, you know. I mean, I was all of 18, 19 years old, and we came around the corner outside of Soweto, and the obligatory roadblock was there. And all five of us, I remember, we were in a yellow Cressida. And I got out the car and I went to the policeman and I said, "Do you know where the Jabulani Amphitheater is?" And he sort of said to me, "Girlie, do you know where you are?" And I said, "Yes, I know where I am. There's a sign behind you that says Soweto." And
Girlie, yes.
Girlie, yeah, girlie. Yeah, girlie, do you know where you are, you know? And anyway, after a bit of argy-bargy, he sort of said, "Well, it's in that direction and be it on your own head." And we came into Soweto and we came in through the back entrance there. The only thing I can say, it was then that I felt the enormity of what was actually happening, because there were 40,000 people. This stadium takes 30,000, and there were 40,000 people crushed into it.
It doesn't even seem that it can hold 30,000, so it was heaving.
It was heaving. I mean, people were hanging off the scaffolding. It was just, they were at the sides, they were all the way down these stands. This was all red earth, and it was just, it was unbelievable. I remember we rushed onto stage and we started with Diana Ross's, because we couldn't play "You're So Good to Me," which had charted on the Radio Zulu charts, which was a vernacular station. So it was an absolute glorious mistake. And so we started with Diana Ross's "I'm Coming Out," and there was sort of 40,000 confused black people going,
"Who is this?
What is this the person?" You know. So we started "You're So Good to Me," and it was the only thing that I can say, it was one of the most sacred moments in my life, because the people knew every word to and every nuance of the entire song, and they carried us through the whole song. And it was that day that I drank from the calabash.
I want to get to the calabash, but also the day where you were christened Thandeka.
That's exactly.
How did that happen?
Well, Collins Mashego, who was one of the compares, he came bounding onto stage after after You're So Good to Me, and he said, today we're going to marry this woman to Soweto. What are we going to call her? And it was the weirdest, eeriest thing, because the crowd almost unanimously shouted back, Thandeka, you know, which is a name that I can't bear it when people call it a nickname, because it is not a nickname. It is my other name.
And girly, what was the trip like back?
Yeah, what was like?
What was the trip like back after that? After you'd drunk from the calabash, after you'd been christened, you got back into that yellow Cressida, and you must have felt completely different. You'd come of age musically, hadn't you?
What I did know was that my life had changed. I couldn't comprehend it. I didn't know where it was going. I just knew that that my life had changed. And I must say that we all sat in quite a stony, eerie silence. It was like, what has just happened? You know, and literally within months, it all turned around, and we went from being a club band to playing to 60,000 people a weekend.
Your life at this point at this stadium in 1982 changed. It was never going to be the same again. But let's reflect now on where you'd come from. You talk in the book about being an awkward girl in Durban. You talk about being insular and I think hermetic. What does that mean?
I didn't fit any mold. You know, every mold I was given, I couldn't wedge myself into. I felt different. I was also born 6 years after everybody else in my family. And I was insular in that. I was always an extrovert, but I was insular in that I didn't know how to express myself. The only way that I knew how to express myself was in song.
And in your room there were posters on the wall, weren't there?
Oh yeah, there were posters on the wall.
Barbara Streisand.
Barbara Streisand was my hero. She was my altar. That was it. Sometimes I think she's the reason I went into show business. Her and Miriam Makeba. Just shows you how schizophrenic I am. I mean, you couldn't get more polar opposites if you tried. I was pretty much like a champagne cork. When I matriculated, I could not wait to get out of Durban.
Didn't you spend some time in a bank?
Yes, I did. But did you have to bring that up?
Yeah. What did you do in the bank?
Screwed up the ledger system.
Yeah.
My first salary, I was in overdraft. You know, because they gave me a checkbook. They didn't tell me about the stubs. I was writing out
How could
checks.
they do that? Yes.
I don't know. You know, and I was just writing out checks willy-nilly.
But while all of this is happening, the drive to perform is absolutely riven through you, isn't it?
Yes, I would have, and I say this now, and I don't know whether I say it proudly or not, but I must be perfectly honest, I would have stepped over hot bodies, never mind warm bodies, to get where I wanted to go. I was absolutely, completely, totally driven.
Let's reflect now on a person, Lillian Kanyile. Who was she, and why was she so important in your upbringing?
Well, Lillian was my other mother. I mean, Lillian came to work for my family when I was 18 months. So she was in those colonial homes that we have, and how it was in those days, my nanny, you know. And Lillian taught me so much. So Lillian was somebody who came along, and she was my other mother, you know. I had an ally against my two older brothers and sister when my parents would go out, and she stayed with my family well, certainly until after I'd left school. She went on retirement and we lost contact, and it was a terrible thing for me that I'd lost contact with this woman. I wrote a song called Lillian, and I went to Kansas City on Radio Zulu, and I said, please man, Kansas, play this song, and I'm looking for Lillian Kanyile. And he did. And I'll never forget, I was in a concert in Verulam, of all places. And there must have been 40,000 people. And there was a person standing, I don't know, 10 deep in the crowd. And I noticed this person because they weren't jumping up and down, clapping, screaming, and shouted. And she just, you know, when there's 40,000 people, it's difficult to pick out one. And I kept looking and I kept looking and I kept looking. And after about the fourth song, I said to her, I said, Lillian, is that you? And she went like this. And I mean,
on the mic, or did you?
No, I couldn't have given it. 40,000. Suddenly there were 39,999 people there.
Isn't that amazing?
I couldn't have given a damn, you know. And I said, "Is that you?" And she said yes. And I was going, "Don't go anywhere after the show. Security guards. The whole show was put on hold. I was saying, make sure you make your way around the back, and the security guards here. Look after her after the show. Make sure she gets to the back." We speak 2-3 times a month, and she turns 80 now.
It's a good age.
Yeah, and she's a wonderful woman with a great sense of humor, and I'm so glad I have her back in my life.
Someone else who is a wonderful woman with a great sense of humor, a confidant and also a rival, is your sister.
Yeah, she is all of those things. She's got a great sense of humor. If you are on the receiving end of that humor, it's not that funny. But now, in retrospect, of course, I can laugh a lot about it. And she's a great confidant, and I think that I owe my life to my sister. I'm not sure I would be sitting here if it were not for Priscilla. What I did was I found a substance to numb the embarrassment, to numb the shame that I felt.